Greetings, precious friends. Thanks for joining the Carnivore Hippie. And we're here again in Aunt Patty's kitchen. And today we're going to be visiting North Africa, Morocco, specifically for recipe number 5 in Totally Unboring Recipes for Ground Beef to spice up your carnivore way of eating. And today we are going to do a Moroccan Tagine style ground beef bowl. Okay, so let's get right to it. So we got here, we see we need a big spoon. I'm going to move this off the heat because we got some butter heating up in there. We got a big spoon and we have a 9-inch deep skillet. Okay. And that's pretty much all we need for hardware. Like I said, this is all about being easy. And what we have here is we have 16 ounces of store-bought, pre-made, fresh tomato salsa. This is medium heat. You can use however hot you want it. Just keep in mind that it only gets hotter as it cooks. So if you don't like stuff super spicy, don't get the hot salsa. But if you want to, you can use a 10-ounce can, or rather a 15-ounce can of diced tomatoes or tomato sauce, and just chop up your own onion and a bell pepper and do it that way. But this is about making things easy. And this is not terribly expensive at the supermarket, and it makes things way easier. So this is what I like to use. Now we're going to put our pan back on the heat. We're going to put this on medium heat. I have 2 tablespoons of butter melted in here. Basically because this particular recipe is a little bit low on the amount of fat for my taste, or for my preference, for my way of eating. And plus the fact that I really love the flavor that the salsa gets when it's fried in a little fat. It really does a lot for the flavor of the tomatoes and changes it from away from a sort of a Mexican-y taste to a real sort of Middle Eastern or North African style of taste. Makes a lot of difference. And it also helps us because we are, of course, going to bloom our spices. And we're going to go look at our other ingredients right now. Here we go. Of course, we have our 1 pound pre-cooked weight of ground beef. And we have a tablespoon of smoked paprika, or you can use any kind of paprika you want. As hot as you like. Remember, it gets hotter as it cooks. A tablespoon or a little bit more of ground cumin. A big fat garlic clove run through my microplane grater. You can just mash it up with a knife if you want to. We have a teaspoon of ground coriander. If you don't have it, you can leave it out, but I recommend it. And a teaspoon of cinnamon. Most people have that. I got right here, I have 2 small bay leaves, or you can use 1 big fat one, that I have poured a couple of tablespoons of boiling water over them and let them sit for half an hour. This recipe isn't going to cook that long, so a bay leaf, while the flavor is very appropriate and traditional for this dish, since it's fast cooking, giving the bay leaves a start like this really, really helps their flavor come out into the dish. Okay, we also have 2 hard-boiled eggs, which I'll explain why the fork is there when we get there. 6 big, fat, pitted green olives. Okay, this is going to be for garnish. You can use whatever kind of olives you like. You can use black olives. You can use green olives. You can use the yucky, plain old cheap canned olives if you want to. That's not a judgment on you. It's a judgment on the olives. And again, for garnish. We have some Greek yogurt, which I have thinned out and enriched with several tablespoons of heavy whipping cream. 2 tablespoons of parsley, and 2 tablespoons of minced cilantro. Minced parsley and minced cilantro. Also, salt, freshly ground, excuse me, my arm's in the way. Freshly ground black pepper to taste. And, of course, my favorite thing whenever I'm doing any recipes with tomatoes in it, a couple of tablespoons up to an ounce of vodka. Completely optional. You can leave it out, but I highly recommend it. And all the alcohol cooks out anyway. Well, not all of it, but enough of it cooks out that it's really not an issue. So, here we go. Our pan is heating up, and we are going to bloom our spices, a process with which we are very familiar by this time. Paprika, cumin, coriander. Oh, they smell awesome already. And cinnamon. In our couple of tablespoons of butter. We've got the pan on medium heat because we don't want things to burn, but we do want the spices to get bubbly. Okay, see how they look kind of creamy as opposed to powdery? There we go. Now, before they get too hot, in goes our salsa. In goes our vodka. That's probably about an ounce, maybe a little bit more. In goes our garlic. Okay, you're being difficult. Oh my goodness, I wish you could smell this. And in goes our bay leaf along with their soaking water. Okay, now this is going to simmer. And we are also going to add half a container of the salsa container of water, because there has to be enough water for this to cook down. So we're going to crank the heat up till it comes up to a simmer, and then we're going to back it off, and we're going to let it simmer for a little while. That's the reason why we need to put the extra water in it, because we need to have enough water so that it doesn't over reduce. And since we're here, I'm just going to put a few shakes of salt in it. There's plenty of salt in the salsa, and there's going to be salt coming out of the olives. And I already salted the ground beef for the sheet pan ground beef, so and I've already explained my hubby and I don't like our food really salty, but you taste and you decide how much salt you want. So this is going to come up to a simmer, and then we're going to back it off, and then we're going to go over to the rest of our ingredients, and we're going to talk about our boiled eggs. Come on, pan. You're boring. Okay. There we are. As I've always said, when you're cooking, keep your pot handles turned towards the back of the stove, please, people. The last thing you want is a pan of something like this, culinary napalm, spilling out all over the kitchen and burning somebody. So now we're going to back it off to medium-low, now that it's bubbling away all happily. And we're going to go over here and talk about the rest of our ingredients. Okay, now, these are hard-cooked eggs that are peeled. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a fork and we're just going to poke them. Not too deep because you don't want to break them apart. But just poke them in 8 or 10 places. Okay, just like that. And we're going to put them down into the sauce like that. Just like that. And they're going to have a spa day in there. And be happy. The idea is that you want some of the flavor of the sauce to get inside the eggs. I'm not sure that it does, but this is traditional to the recipe, so anyway. It's all going in the same place, so eventually in your mouth it's going to get mixed up anyway. And we're going to go ahead and throw in our olives at this point. Okay. Now, this is going to have to cook for, probably about 10 minutes until it has reduced enough. And then at which point we will put the ground meat in. And as I love to say, y'all don't want to sit and watch a pot boil. So I'm going to pause the video and I will rejoin you when this has cooked down. Like I said, that's going to be when you're doing this at home. It's going to be 8 to 10 minutes. See you in a bit. And we're back, precious friends. Our sauce has now reduced. It's about the consistency of what it was before when we put the pint. It's about reduced back down to a pint of fluid, but you can see the texture has changed a lot. There's a lot of the chunks have broken down, and it's a lot more stew-like than salsa-like, which is exactly what we want. Traditionally, this would be smooth without the chunks, so you could remove the eggs and the olives and hit it with a stick blender if you want to. I happen to think that's an extra step that's completely unnecessary, so we're not going to do that, but it would certainly be traditional, and you absolutely do that if you want to. And now, here we go. We're going to add our ground meat. Our pre-cooked ground meat. This is supposed to be a little bit stew-like. So if you have a few big, chunks of ground beef, that's fine. Oh, and what I'm also going to do is when I see these little bay leaves, I'm going to take them out, because if I leave them in there, it's a sure bet my hubby's going to get one, because he wins the bay leaf lottery regularly. So there's two. 2 went in, 2 came out. He's safe. Now you can see this is somewhat stew-like, but not soupy. This is why I say this is more ketovore rather than carnivore. Because it really does, it has more than, more vegetables in it than I would do on a daily basis. But on once in a while, this is really delicious. Okay. All we have to do at this point is make sure that our ground beef is reheated. And again, bing, bang, boom, we're done. So let's see, we're at 15 minutes with the video, and that includes all the description at the beginning. So this is about 20 minutes, including the simmering time. So once again, really, really fast, really easy, dinner on the table, super fast. As long as you have your, once you've got your everything chopped up and measured out and your ground beef pre-cooked. So we're going to serve. Here's our dish. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to serve out one of these lovely eggs. And traditionally these are cut in quarters to serve. There we go. And make sure you stir it around so that you get some sauce and some meat in every scoop. This is, as I said before, this is about 2 servings, and each serving gets 3 great big lovely luscious olives, and to garnish we have our chopped parsley. I like a lot of parsley with this because I love the fresh green taste that it gives, the herbaceousness, and some cilantro. You can also stir the parsley and the cilantro directly into the finished dish if you want the flavor to cook in a little bit. Some freshly ground black pepper, which again, you can do that to taste in the finished dish before you plate if you want to. And to top it all off, a nice big dollop of Greek yogurt, enriched, as I said, enriched and thinned out a little bit with some heavy whipping cream. And there we are. Again, a fork is not the correct implement for the enjoyment of this dish. A spoon is the appropriate instrument. And here we have it. Moroccan Tagine style ground beef bowl with boiled egg, olives, and Greek yogurt. I believe, if I am not mistaken, the style of tagine is called macara, if I'm pronouncing it properly. So here we go. I just think that looks so lovely and delicious, and now we're going to taste it. Get a little bit of egg and some meat. A bit of yogurt. The spices are warm, and the smell coming up from the bowl, the taste of the spice along with the smell of the spice together, it's just really heady and pleasant. And the taste of the egg white and the egg yolk is really rich along with the tomato, and this just the little tad of yogurt on top of it adds a tanginess and a richness that goes really, really well with the tomato sauce. Actually, I think I could have added a little bit of cayenne pepper to this, and it would have even been a little bit better. It's a little bit milder than I expected it to be. So I'm going to take a little bite of olive and have a bite with the meat. If you like olives, this is the perfect vehicle for olives. That's all I have to say. The olive with the spicy meat at the same time, just spectacular. I don't want to stop eating it, but neither do I want to talk with my mouth full. So there you have it, precious friends. Number 5. Hopefully this, along with whatever else clever recipes I'm sure you have for your ground beef, I hope will keep you from ever getting bored eating ground beef. I could eat ground beef every day for a month and not get bored with it utilizing these recipes. So that's it for right now, precious friends. Thank you so much for joining me for this series. I have another series in the works coming up for more fast, easy, convenient, useful recipes for your carnivore journey. I love you all. I wish you peace, love, and meat. We'll talk again soon.